Welcome to Pandora's Box. I'm your host, Christopher Marston, and today we have our lovely Amy Berliner here tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, we're going to open the box tonight.
Cool.
Before we do, first of all, we're drinking some 23-year Cabernet tonight.
Can't go wrong.
Okay, we're not going to suffer. Cheers. Welcome.
Cheers.
Glad you made it.
Ditto. Thank you.
It's going to air out a second.
Nice.
For those that are just joining us, Pandora's Box. So if you don't know the Greek mythology of Pandora's Box, most people think you open the box and bad things happen. Folks, bad things already happened. The box was opened. But what most people don't know is that when Pandora opened the box and the evil of the world came out, she shut the box quickly in horror. And what was left at the bottom, locked and sitting at the bottom, was human hope. And so at Pandora's Box, we're going to open the box and talk about try and put that stuff back in. With any luck, human hope comes out. We'll see. That's it. We'll see. On the other hand, not everybody's up for this stuff right now because it's a polarized world, isn't it?
Very much so.
All right, so here's the thing. It's the trigger warning. So, like, if you need to take some antacid, you might want to consider doing that now. I'm just saying, if you get tummy aches and stuff, if you're prone to depression, outrage, road rage, canceling people, ghosting, doxing, stay on. This show's sponsored by your therapist, and they're going to love to subscribe to some drugs after this. If you need to, I've got some great graffiti paint for you.
Right.
No looting. I forgot the tire iron for the looting tools.
Damn it.
I just have the graffiti paint tonight. But if you're the winner, you get a graffiti paint. And if you get really sad and your therapist can't help you just in time, we have a tiny violence. You can cry me a river with your tears. No tissues, just
None.
cry me a river. This is a beautiful handmade violin. You're going to love it. But the best, absolutely destroyed crier gets it. So I hope you'll enjoy that.
I love it.
So cheers, thanks again.
Cheers.
I'm going to take a sip before we go.
Nice.
Mm.
Smells amazing.
We got this.
We got this.
We
All
got
right.
this. Differences of opinion can come together through wine.
Bingo. Well, let's see
Right?
how this goes.
Right?
Did you bring the box tonight?
Guess what?
You did. Because I didn't bring the box. Wait.
Let's see.
Oh, it's a baby.
It is a tiny
It's so
little
cute.
man.
The guy before brought his whole guitar case. It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Case.
This was Napoleon's box. You know.
A Napoleon's box. That's great. That's great. That's awesome. I used to shop at a place called Napoleon's Closet.
What?
Yeah, because it's like the opposite of the big and tall store. It's like a short and small store.
I like that. Short and
I
small.
moved.
Big and tall.
I grew up in Michigan and I moved and the thing went out of business and I think it was because of me.
And they're like, oh, we sold out. Inventory's
ridiculous.
gone.
It's gone.
So
What do we
check it
got?
out.
Whoa, look at that. You got a lot of things in there. There's a lot on your mind, Amy.
Gosh, there's so many topics that are hot topics, right?
I can't wait.
Okay.
I can't wait.
So do I just get to pull one?
Yeah, you brought the box. You get to pull one.
There's so many good.
Oh yeah, what? No debate.
No debates.
Well, it's like I was just waiting for the moment where somebody said he shouldn't do it, and he says, "Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna pull. I'm just gonna
His
pull
entourage is
right
like, cut.
there." Right, and he's like, "I'm gonna do it, damn it, I'm gonna do it."
Well, I think it would be better to have Kamala
Oh,
to debate Trump than Biden because
I agree
I think
with
we
that.
already kind of know the pulse of where
now that'd be
Biden will.
racist because you can't insult. Anyways, we'll go there later.
What do you mean that would be
Because
racist?
she's black, you can't insult a black person.
Well, no, I wouldn't insult her. I'm saying
That would be
that
racist. That would be racist.
No, it
You know
would
what he
be.
said to Carly Fiorina, for God's sake. So
No,
remember
but-
the last 2016.
Oh yes. That was
That was something else. That was probably one of the things he should have kept to himself. I'm just
you
saying.
know, no filter.
Yeah, no filter. Okay,
I
that's
think
true.
you need some help on the filtration
Yes,
parts because
true.
as good as you can be, if you can't diplomatically approach, I think it makes it really hard to accept someone who's so fiery.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
can be quite fiery.
All right, so back to no debate.
No debate.
Yeah. So, what's your thought on that? I mean,
Right.
is this just another excuse for him to eventually say, "I'm not going to do it"?
Well,
Like, eventually, enough people are going to be like, "You shouldn't do it," and he's going to be like, "Okay."
I really think it's leading up to Kamala, though, taking the ticket, because I think he continues to say, for the last year, he's continued to say that he will be a one-term president. And should he get sick...
That's more than a
he has-
half term.
Right. Well, yeah, right. And I think it's just paving a path for Kamala to really have an opportunity to take the seat. And I think she'll be calling the shots. I think Biden is a puppet to many things, largely because Biden can't even keep on point right? A teleprompter can't help him. And the Democrat Party knows this, the Republican Party knows this, and most importantly,
Wait a
the
second.
people know this.
He knows that. He knows how to say like a two-faced, what is it, dog something pony show?
What the hell
Whatever that
is
thing
that
is.
shit?
I don't.
Can I say that?
Where's that from? Of course you can. You can say
Okay.
the F word too. We're at the beginning of the show. We got plenty of time.
I was like making
We got
sure I
plenty of
had
time.
a disclaimer.
Here, have another drink. We're good. It's funny.
No, I mean, what comes out of his mouth, it's like, it borders on amateur.
Yeah.
And he constantly is apologizing in all of his interviews. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble. It's like, who are your handlers? You're going to get in trouble because you're off script. And unfortunately, that's a problem. And I think the party knows it, but most importantly, the people know it. And this is why Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders were much more of a pick for the Democrat side than Biden ever was. He's older. He doesn't really have a base. He's been racial.
Yeah, but so how do they end up with? How is it that you have that entire field and you end up with the old white guy that can't talk? I'm just trying to figure it out.
I'm telling you.
Like, were they trying to ditch the old white guy for like ever, and then like ended up with an old white guy?
Well, I kind of felt.
I'm just wondering.
I kind of felt like here we had Cory Booker, we had Kamala Harris running in the Democratic.
Sure, we had like a 1,000th Cherokee Indian, 1,000th Cherokee Warren, right?
But
Like,
why?
we could've-
I would say to the party, we should only want, right, a woman of color in office or someone of
Right.
color in office, because that would definitely send a sign that we're progressing. Unfortunately, on the Democratic side, it wasn't who they chose, and they chose Biden. And Biden's a career politician. He's had his challenges through the 40-something years that he's been there. And I think that's a lot of people. And I think a lot of people, whether you're left or right or in the middle, they want to see this debate happen because they want to see that interaction. When you saw Clinton
no
and
doubt,
Trump,
no doubt.
irregardless of who you were on either
Sure.
side, that was good primetime video. When you saw, Clinton come at Trump and then he retorts back, well, the first thing I'll do in office is I'll put you in jail. Well, that was like an aha moment.
So,
Like,
yeah, that's right.
Scheiße, what's this?
He'll take them both now.
He'll tag team.
He'll take Biden with his pinky and Kamala with his index finger or
I know
something.
where-
Like
you know
poke
where-
them both in the eye.
I will say Kamala is very good on the defensive, or she's more good on the attack than she is on the defense.
Yeah, of course. Tulsi took her downtown to Chinatown.
She
and then
wasn't
she didn't
ready
even
for that. She was
wasn't
not ready
ready,
for
yeah.
that, and I think it was a humbling moment for Kamala. And I think going into this, it may be a little bit interesting to see how she plays the narrative going forward. But I think with Biden, it's a non-starter. Everyone knows it. It's why they don't want him out too much in the public. It's why they have so many handlers that are giving the scripts to him. And he can't lead. I mean, he can't even finish a thought. And
Right.
so even for Bernie Sanders, Bernie
So-
came out far.
But can he
far
win without debating? I don't think he can
No.
win without debating.
No, and this is
So
where
it's sort of
gonna
a
be
no-win
challenge.
situation, right?
Well, yeah.
Which gets to another topic we'll cover later, which is like, if they know it's a no-win situation, what are
What's
they
plan B?
going to do to rig it?
What's Plan B?
Yeah, it's like you know that they gotta know that this is
Well,
like
unless they can
they're
come
not
up with
stupid.
something on Trump, and they can look for another impeachment.
They are. Don't you know where they're going?
They are.
No,
but what's the stickiness to it?
They're gonna. It's the mail-in ballots thing.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting.
Well, yeah, of course. They're going to propose a mail-in ballot so that didn't you hear Hillary Clinton said don't concede under
She
any
did.
circumstances?
She did.
Like if there's anything like signaling like that, they're signaling, right?
Well, I
The
think.
ballots are going to be a mess. They know it.
Well, they
So it's going
know
to create a
for sure.
cloud over the presidency, and if they can hold the cloud out long enough, January 20th,
Mhm.
Pelosi will step in.
Well, and that's what
Awesome.
she said to some degree, right?
Yeah,
She's
like
kind of
they're-
alluded to that already.
Right.
With,
So we're sitting here right now, just in case, in case this happens, like we predicted it.
Right.
If there's anything you can buy in Vegas, if Vegas is open, like buy a bet on that. I'm just saying.
It's true. I think that with Biden not debating, I think it will be a big uphill battle for the
Sure.
Democrat Party, and it's unfortunate because I think a lot of people would like to hear him debate and would like to hear what his policy positions are. And unfortunately, we haven't really heard a clear plan. We're weeks, when you think about it, away from an election.
Yeah,
A lot of people have already
That's
made up
crazy.
their mind and decided and voted. which is even crazier because I think the debates are so important. It's a part of our political process.
Sure.
And when we circumvent these things and we take away the essence of the way that we do things here in this country, giving the viewer the opportunity to really vet, the causes and the supporting narratives that this candidate has, and then we say, by the way, no, we're going to bypass this. Whether it be, and I don't even know what her argument is to bypassing him for the debates, which I would love to hear the argument for her reasoning behind it.
Right.
But I think that it's a non-starter for the party.
Yeah.
And I think they're very afraid of that. And I think if anything, you should say, because Biden was like, I can't wait to get out there and tear him up. And then you don't get better.
He's talking like a bulldog. I love it.
Totally. And I love that too.
Great. That's great.
So go do it.
Let's go do it.
You know what I mean? Let's see that moment. Let's see what you have. Let's see the grit you have in this.
Yeah.
And what is your gameplay? And we don't know.
You know what Fred Flintstone would say? Yeah, but Deb, don't. Yeah.
That's exactly what he was
saying.
So I mean, I think it's going to be very upsetting because a lot of the people in the Democrat Party are very upset. There's a lot of splintering of people who have different views and opinions. You see, the squad who's definitely got a different narrative than even the party itself.
Sure.
And so there has to be someone, if you're going to be the tip of the spear, if you've been there for 40 plus years, get in there, say that you know what you're going to do, and execute it. And unfortunately, I don't know that he's capable of doing that. And this is where, again, Bernie, even Elizabeth Warren could have beat him out.
The problem is he has a record that you can't escape, and it's a 40-year record. So whatever it is, it's like, success leaves clues as so does failure, or, your record is what your record is.
Right. Well, it's like when Biden said, how many votes he's going to lose already with people of color.
Yeah.
He was caught on a hot mic saying, this was a few years ago, where he was talking about Middle Easterners owning, Middle Easterners, they own gas stations and 7-Elevens, and it was like...
I don't own a gas station.
but how terrible to say that
and
to make that assumption or that stereotype. And I'm thinking to myself,
they recently said black people aren't diverse. I think he said that too.
Well, he said if you don't vote for him,
Latin Americans are much more diverse than black people.
Let me tell you,
like, oh shit,
black people don't need a white person telling them how they feel, and a black person does not need a white person.
They don't.
No.
But wait, MSNBC, what's her name? Reed. She came out today and said the RNC paraded token black people up to make racism okay. Which apparently means that if you genuinely had an opinion and went up there and you're a black person, you were just a token and can't think for yourself.
I think that's really sad.
That's serious stuff.
I know so many intelligent African American and Black American people that it's unfortunate that is the narrative. And when you get to meet people and this is the one thing that Bernie had over Biden. And I saw this because I've worked on each side of the fence in parties, right? And Bernie the reason he got such traction with millennials is he was really able to relate and he was relevant to the topics. Biden's very out of touch. I don't know when the last time Biden drove a car, much like Hillary Clinton. You don't know what traffic's like. You can't.
There's no traffic in the basement, dude.
No. And what are you afraid of? My God, you know what I mean? Your parking's free.
The only thing he needs to do is change his depends down there.
And that might be a job in and of itself,
Right.
But I just look at it and I think there's so much that could have been learned in the last 4 years about how to win this election as a Democrat. And yet, unfortunately, sometimes the complacency and the almost air of arrogance.
But that was 2016. That was 2016.
Yeah.
But you learned from mistakes, right?
But some didn't, right? And when you looked at Bernie and you looked at why he was doing so well, is because he was in the trench. He was meeting with the people. He was a part of groups and connecting with them.
And then he got screwed in 2016.
Well, and then he sold out, right? But unfortunately...
You mean now he sold out?
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but in 2016 he just got screwed. It was like, move over, Bacon. Now there's something clean here.
He had a line that he drew in the sand and was like, I'll never do that. And then he did that, right? He did several things he said he wouldn't do. And I guess that's politics. But I think if you're going to connect with a voter, especially in this climate and in this landscape, you have to be willing to debate your opponent. And when you don't, we don't get to see the caliber of what you have in your skin.
Sure. How are they going to stand up against like
there's
China
no way.
and Russia and all that if they can't debate the?
If you're afraid of this other older white dude, then you're toast. Because you can't stand up to him.
Right.
You can't stand up to him.
It's like a pacemaker stopping event. It's like who's in it?
Or who's got that pacemaker
first?
Wi-Fi?
That's right.
Oh, stopping. Problems here on stage, right? No, I just think it will be a challenge, and I think Pelosi was she misspoke when she said that.
So Pelosi used to be a badass. What happened to her?
I think Pelosi has
like in the last 4 or 5 years, she went off she turned kookanoots.
Well, you know, she's very smart. First of all, she would not be the speaker for as long as she was if she was not intelligent. She's very clever. She's very savvy. Unfortunately, now I think we're dealing with some other issues, mental acuity, to much like Biden, same kind of ideology, right? Is now we need to look for either people who have a pulse, who can stay paced with where our government is, but more importantly, where the people are. And if we can't pace that, then it's going to be a real challenge for any opponent. And, as much as people, there are times where I look at Trump and I'm like, what an idiot. And then there are other times where I'm like, he did something good. Perfect example is, when you see good causes. I don't care which side of the fence you're on. When you do a good cause for children, or you increase the research dollars for pediatrics.
Do good shit.
Something good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to like everything you do. But if there are things that come out of that are beneficial to the people, this is when people react. People don't react to two attorneys, which is really what it's like, right? We got two attorneys on either side fighting it out. We're paying the bill, getting no solution. And now in 2020, people are going to get to make a decision based off of that.
You'd think they get paid by the hour as opposed as the hour.
Good God, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, we're your own
build the government by the hour or something, right? That's
well, and how do they become millionaires and billionaires? Right. You know what I mean? How do they acquire that wealth? And that acquisition now that people are looking at, like capitalism is talked down upon, and yet our politicians are benefiting from capitalism. So
I think they're benefiting from corruption.
Well, the corruption of capitalism, right? They have a foot in it, and there's a red envelope under the table, and there's all these secret.
Well, China's got to put the envelope somewhere.
But most people take that envelope, right? And our government for a long time has looked at trade and that type of thing as monetization. So, but if Trump sees that Biden is not going to take on the debate,
he's going to go to town.
He will win the election, hands down.
Sure.
And of course, it will be a fight with Pelosi. I mean, they've already said don't concede. It's going to take weeks and months. That's going to put us out beyond January of 2021. But I think Biden has to get it together.
Here's the thing. If Trump wins, they know it's going to be a disaster for the ballots. They know it. So if Trump wins, they're just going to say he's illegitimate. And then they won't concede.
Well, check this out.
And so this is like all planned. Like it's so obvious what they're doing that they would just like tear apart the country just to set up a disaster. It's like the next planned Russiagate.
Well,
Russia scandal.
This is where it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Does everybody not see this? It's so obvious.
But I think there's a solution to this.
Yeah, electronic voting.
Thank you.
Hello.
How about blockchain voting?
It's been out, but even without blockchain, electronic voting, everyone counts.
But here's the thing.
Yeah,
there's no transparency in that, though.
Yeah, I know.
I can check my vote. I can see my vote and make sure that it's counted appropriately.
Even only legal people can vote.
I can't look at my vote today. I can't see where I voted and make sure it was counted. It wasn't tossed in the trash can.
You don't.
Whereas with blockchain, and I say the reason why blockchain wouldn't be something enticing to groups is because when you are able to have two sets of books, right? Blockchain doesn't allow for that. So there's full transparency in that. So let's keep the legacy of older ideologies. Sure. But there's so many solutions that could circumvent this problem.
Okay, wait a second. You mean the solution is the Democrats propose tearing rainforests worth of trees down so they can print ballots?
No.
Nobody's talking about that.
No.
Hello?
Well, if we can save a turtle, come on, save a tree.
We could save a lot. We're ruining the forest to get everyone to vote when they can show up in lines with masks, like I do for groceries or something.
Right?
I'm just saying.
It's going to be a debacle, and we all know for sure that this is going to be messy. It's going to be very messy, no matter which way it goes, and it's going to be a battle. And I think that this is probably this is probably going to be one of the most iconic years in history
Yeah,
as far as elections go.
Sure, you got
And
Ruth Ginsburg, who's like hanging on by a thread.
she'll probably croak after the first week or so.
Yeah, no
of
doubt.
election,
Like
you know.
that's the only thing.
Well, she's banking on Biden winning.
No doubt, no doubt.
And if that does not happen, it's going to be another deal. It's going to be a checkmate. So
yes.
I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But politics for so long has been used to calling the shots, and now you've got a rogue guy kind of in office saying, "Nope, I don't play by those rules." And so it'll be interesting.
So Trump, like, I know we got to get to this box, but look, Trump always picks the most difficult battles. Like the Republicans didn't want him to pick this mail-in ballot. They're like, don't pick that as an issue. No, don't make a conspiracy thing out of it. Even though he was right, it's going to be a mess. And his party didn't want
it was a mess.
And his party didn't want him to make a thing of it. And he picked it, but he picked all the hardest issues ever: tax reform, legal immigration.
Yeah.
And he just went for it. The ballots issues are like it strikes people at a common sense level that it's going to be a clusterfuck.
Because it will be.
Well, yeah, and so but he's hitting it. So the question is, if he's reelected, can he hit corruption? Pay to play. Wouldn't that be the biggest issue? That would be like the thing.
That and peace.
Yeah.
That and peace, right? Because he's
working on
got a
peace.
big thing on peace, signing with Israel and all these different things, right? I think it's going to be tough because he's got a party that is largely conservative. Typically, Republicans are more splintered than Democrats when it comes to coming to the table on a unified narrative or subject matter. Whereas Democrats typically would come to the table all together, unified, like one body. And so this is going to be a real interesting time to see what the Republicans do, whether they fall rogue against Trump or if they go step in line and fall behind him. And looking at which you pick, lesser of two evils, you know what I mean? And I mean, so many people have smartphones. They should use the smartphones to get smart. Do your homework, do your research, pretend you're going to the library, but it's in your phone.
Yeah.
And the more that I think that we can press upon people that it's not about a party line today, it's really about the party talking points and what is capable of being accomplished and who's been able to accomplish it. Certainly, Trump's got a lot of things under his belt.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think anybody believes any politician will say what they'll do and do what they say. Any one of them.
Well,
except Trump, maybe, who actually got it done, in spite of like everybody hating him. Everybody hating him.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you look at a lot of people who've said, Trump's this or that, and you don't have to like the man. There's been plenty of people. I tell people all the time. You look at Clinton. Clinton wasn't this moral compass guy all the time, but he ran the country. Right? Well, most people agreed with most of the things he did.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Got a little help from Monica, a little bit,
Right? A little R&R, love on the side. Help him get his work done at the end of the day. But that part of it, I think, is really important because we overlooked that as a society. We really did.
Well,
For a moment, it was in the media, right? And then we kind of go, oh, but we like him. He's charismatic.
Of course,
the
economy was great.
Totally, right? So
everyone was looking out of their way.
Yeah.
Nobody cared, right?
That's right, nobody cared.
Kavanaugh, anyway, not in the box today. It's good. We'll go there.
Yeah. But it will be quite timely to see how this plays out and what the projections look like because you see all these polls. And I really don't bank on too many of the polls until the end of the race.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's always speculation. There's voters who won't even tell you.
Well, the polls were wrong. Yeah, most voters won't.
Well, and most voters aren't going to tell you who they're going to vote for because they're afraid of the stigma if they don't even vote.
But there's only stigma in one direction. That's the problem. So there's only,
Well, to me, if Biden has to tell black people if they don't vote for him, they're not black. It doesn't change the color of your skin, my friend. So I don't know what you're thinking here.
He's just trying to remind them where the plantation is and that they should stay on it.
Okay, that's an
because he cares for them.
No.
Because it's safe on the plantation.
Well, and this is why I think Kamala beat his ass in the debates when she schooled him on the school bus and the things that he voted for and how he was really not a proponent for people of color.
Okay, so like here's what I don't get. Obama, black dude, right? First black president.
Yes.
So like we did that, right? We checked that box. And like, but there are some people like we're trying to check the box. So what does a black VP do?
I think a black VP gets prepared to be the president.
Because it's Babylon Biden. Is that why?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay,
Either Biden's going to croak.
Okay.
Biden's going to croak, or.
Okay, so they're trying to check the box. So they're playing chess for a check the box of a black woman president.
If he died, we could have a black female president in office, which would change history. She knows it. The public knows.
No, it would make history.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And then, like after that, it's all we got is zebras left.
Well, for that we need Barney. But,
Barney,
Barney can come be
I was thinking Red Fraggle.
But I mean, I think it's a total setup play that Biden will exit out. Oh gosh, he has a problem. We've got a medical condition that is reversible.
You're like the millionth person who's told me that.
Seriously, that's going to be the bow out. Because how could you justify? How could you even defend?
Oh come on, Mueller didn't even remember what his own report said.
Well,
in the
I think
Russia
that's
report.
because there's a lot of stories around that, right? A lot of stories around that. But I mean, with Biden,
he wasn't fully there.
Biden isn't there, and that's
no, Mueller wasn't fully there either.
Mueller.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of like there's a lot of zombies walking around.
that are still talking.
We need to fix it. Okay, can you promise me for the next topic you'll swear a little more?
Oh, you want me to cuss?
You are way too proper.
Oh, shit.
Okay. I should have had you wear a t-shirt. I'm just saying. It's like we need to drink more. The Lakers and Clippers are striking. They're going to skip games in protest of somebody getting shot. So all right.
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Oh, good.
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
That's bullshit.
I think it is bullshit, and I'll tell you why. I think it's bullshit because, your career, which is sports, is a non-political affiliation, even though I know it's funded by some of them. And I think we've lost the sight of why the game was so important. The game was no different than comedy television, right? Sure. Give you a break away from reality, to take a step away from what is real, and give you a moment to step out and to just have fun and to just release and just let go.
Yeah.
And I think when we've infiltrated the fun with now this political narrative, and you have Democrats, you have Republicans, you've got Green Party people in there who come and are season ticket holders, own suites, right, at AEG, at Staples, been there many times, and I can only imagine that a lot of those season ticket holders are going to be very pissed when they come to realize that these are games they're going to miss.
Well, they're going to say that those are all rich white guys, so they don't give a shit.
Well, they're going to want their money back.
Yeah,
as well they should.
Well, I guess they don't care as long as they get the same amount of money, right?
Well,
and so the owners lose, right? And then the vendors lose, and everybody who was going to go show up and like.
This is the problem for me is the vendors. Most importantly, the people who work really hard, blue collar people, single moms, young kids trying to pay for college, barely struggling to get by, and then they're told they can't show up to work, not because of COVID, but because of something else. And to me,
could any of those be Latin American or black people?
100%.
I'm just wondering.
100%. A lot of the laborers are, and that's what I'm talking about. Is that they're going to be left out of work, a job, insecurity. Is there going to be another game? Are we going to postpone again? And to me, you're sabotaging the careers and the life flow of these people's lives.
Why don't they just quit and let someone else step in? That would be good, right? I mean, they don't have to play if they don't want to play, but they should just quit, right?
Well, if you know that the game's going to require you either stand or kneel, then I guess you have a choice to make. And believe me, after these guys leave sports, they don't go with their insurance paid. They have to pay that out of pocket. So it's like, how much in that till are you going to hold on to that isn't going to be your cost of living every year? That either you go, I'm going to quit, and I've got enough reserve in there to live it out, or you think that this is the narrative. And unfortunately, we've seen this with NASCAR. We've seen this with so many different sports affiliations where people are forced to make a decision politically that involves their career. And I think that that's when we've crossed a line, because unfortunately, you're missing out on an audience, you're hurting people's jobs, and you're affecting the ability. I mean, it's no different than comedy, right? When we hear comedians coming out and it's so deeply rich politically, and it's like, the reason I like you is because I don't want to hear that. I want to hear jokes. I want to hear something funny. Sure. And so when everything is so infused with political narratives at every talking point, whether it be in sports, whether it be in Hollywood television, whether it be in the music industry, whether it be in Wall Street,
you
no matter.
Want to be told what to think?
I won't be told what to think. I'll tell you that damn
much. I
much.
love you so much. It's great.
Shit, so, I'm not one of those people.
So wait a second. Here's what I don't get. All right, like I'm a white dude. I'm not even. Am I white?
I don't know. You got some color to you.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm kind of olive.
I think.
Do all lives matter?
Well, hold on. You're Jewish.
I'm just wondering. So, anyways, no, like I don't know. Somebody tried to like paint me white once, and I'm like, I don't even think black people look black, by the way, because I know the color.
Right.
Like, and last I checked, they're kind of brownish. But anyway, and if you
well,
go
there's
on
different
color,
shades of white,
if you
right?
go on white, like nobody just looks at me and says, yeah, that's white.
Okay.
Like I just don't understand that.
I'm a white person, European, Native American, all those different fun things. And I love being a darker color. Like I love the sun because I don't like being pale white. And people ask me, so sometimes.
So you have white shame.
I think I do. Wait, no, I don't.
That's amazing. Well, anyways, Michael Jackson said it don't matter if you're black or white, so I'm going with that.
You know what?
I'm just going to
the
tell
man
you,
in the mirror. I like that.
I might have been accused of being whitish at some point, and I got to say to the audience, my first website when I founded my business had a Malcolm X quote, and it said, if you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So dear rich black people who are in the Lakers and Clippers, all right, you have the most fucking money of like anybody out there. You know what? Laborers need to strike because they don't have another bargaining chip.
Yep.
You are rich. Why don't you spend your money actually doing something? Why don't you be a role model to your own people and stand up for something so everyone doesn't fall for anything and actually make some change? You have the money to do it.
Or here.
Donate to a nonprofit. Start a nonprofit.
How about donate to your own people?
Help police. Get trained so they don't kill black people anymore. Whatever it is you want to do.
Or
Can they be part of the solution? Can they take a cue from Malcolm X? I did it. So step the fuck up and do it.
Well, or how about this? For the people that you take out of a job for the time that you want to kneel or you don't want to play a game, then you pay them yourself out of your money.
Sure.
You pay them because it's your decision to boycott a game, not theirs. They would be there. They would show up.
They should donate their pay. They should donate their pay to their people.
That's right. Diversify it amongst all the people.
Can we get a hashtag on that? Can we get a hashtag? Are they willing to donate their pay?
Why don't we call them up?
Dear rich black people, will you donate your pay when you're
well, the white people
your own games?
And the white people too, because there's white people
That's
kneeling.
great too. They should all donate their pay.
If you're going to subject them to losing pay and losing time on the job and losing their job security, because that is a loss of job security. How many more games is this going to affect?
I think it's fantastic. I think the people watching the show of color and of white people should just put some pressure on them and to be like,
they need the pressure.
Donate your pay. Do something. Step the fuck up.
I think it's so wrong.
And they should boycott them if they don't, right?
100%.
They get to whine and cry like little babies. Cry me a river.
Listen.
Cry me a river. I'm gonna protest like a laborer. They're not laborers. They're rich people.
First of all, those Laker tickets are not cheap. I know. I've been in those suites. I've been in those seats.
You need more wine.
I need give it. I know what those tickets cost. And when you're talking season ticket holders that are in those nice suites where the food and wine are flowing, and you've got people who are like, hey, I just want to spend my last paycheck on this game. I love the Lakers, or I love the Clippers, or whoever it be. And yet you go, well, you know what? We're going to take a political stand here. And believe me, I don't believe that our police should be shooting people. Let me get that clear. I don't believe that we should be shooting people who are unarmed in the back. However,
slingshots,
I mean,
no, I'm just kidding.
I don't agree.
They have rubbers. Shouldn't they use rubber bullets?
They should use rubber bullets.
There's got to be something that can stop
There's
them.
an alternative. But why did you have to make a man quadriplegic? I don't agree that you had to make him a quadriplegic.
There's got to be other ways to do it.
7 times.
Shoot him once, see if it works. Shoot him again. I don't know.
Okay. First of all, I would have been hella pissed.
The balls, they'll never forget.
In the foot, he won't run away from you.
There's a place you could shoot him where a man.
Thank you.
Eventually will be like,
thank you.
I give up. I quit.
I surrender. Right.
I surrender. The white flag will wave.
But hold on. When that happened, there were 3 children in the car, as I understand. So when this man was shot 7 times, his children are watching him being shot. Not those kids' fault. And either way, politically, I think it's important that we have these conversations, but at the same time, when professional sports people, celebrities, musicians take a stand, it affects their business in the future, because eventually either people are going to side with them or they're not. And if you had season ticket holders that we 25% of your ticket holders were not in agreement with you and you pissed them off, they're not going to renew.
Of course they're not.
Oh my
I
God.
don't watch football anymore because people like kneel during the anthem and stuff, and they think...
You stopped watching football?
Yeah, I won't watch football anymore. I don't want to see that shit. I'm just saying you're like urinating on somebody's casket at a funeral. Like, sorry, that was somebody else's ceremony you hijacked? Like, I'm just saying, like, nobody talks about that because
there's a lot of hijacking, right?
God forbid you try to, like...
Well, I mean, even his parents.
There's, like, ceremonial one-upsmanship going on. It's like, whoa, that ceremony was here first. Like, step the fuck off.
It's like what I call, it's the copycat. People just want to ride on the parades, and hold on to that and think that there's some longevity to that. And unfortunately, it's not always the case. Even that guy's parents came out and were like, hey, you know what? We don't want people going out and looting. We don't want people going out and being destructive.
Sure.
But I think that, I think it's important to have a position on where you stand in the world and the things that are happening in the world. But I think when it affects other people who are still counting on you to do your job, that has nothing to do with what's going on politically, you are taking them out of that reality for a moment and giving them something that gives them hope for something else, like giving me happiness, giving me a place as an outlet to get away from what we see on the news and television.
Yeah,
and unfortunately.
So I'm just trying to understand why they don't help the people. Like, if there's better things they could be doing, like the police, or better ways to do it, then what does protesting do if you're a rich guy? Like, why don't you set an example of what activism means?
Well, to me...
Like, not activism as in looting. Activism as in, like, start a movement to help those people, a program to educate, create new ideas and alternative solutions.
Well, I think we have to be innovative. And unfortunately, so many people are just they're just complaining. I used to tell employees that would come to me and they would say, oh, here's a problem. I'm like, no. You come back to me when you have a solution to the problem. We'll look at it and we'll figure out what's the best approach. But unfortunately, we've taught society that it's like bitch and complain and then we hope for solution. No, be the solution. Yeah. It takes one person to change realities for so many people.
Oh,
and
the American Indians got screwed out of oil royalties
100%.
For a century.
100%.
And a little small, tiny little woman named Eloise Cobell stepped the F up and represented the Indians nationwide in the largest class action lawsuit against the U.S. government and won. And settled it. Obama settled it right before she died.
Yeah.
And it does only take one person.
It does.
And so that's the disgusting part, is like when people are looking for role models, they look up.
Yeah,
so
we don't look down.
These Lakers and Clippers ought to have their testicles.
Well, they're still driving the Maseratis. They're still driving the nice cars.
Yeah,
they're still living in the gated communities.
Donate your pay. Like, create an... Anyways,
for people who say defund police, right?
Yeah.
You live in a gated community.
Sure.
A privileged gated community, right? That's guarded by who? Armed guards?
Oh, yeah.
Probably ex-police officers, if not retired police officers, who are on guard for your protection and safety.
Of course.
We have Secret Service. We've got all these people who surround everyone from politicians to celebrities. And yet we say vocally defund, and yet we have privatized security, and we have private people who we want to call in case somebody jumps my fence.
I'm sure if they tore down their gates, they would be out with their guns like the McCloskeys.
Well, look at the woman who was in Chicago.
Them.
They went to her house.
Yeah.
They protested and were looting outside of her house. Lightfoot.
Yeah,
they were protesting outside her house, right?
Yeah,
and she was like, no. It's like, hold on. You can't have it both ways. Either you're saying you're condoning it or you're not.
Yeah,
and this is where there has to be enforcement. But unfortunately, that isn't how it's going. So it's just a shitty time for a lot of people.
Totally
and I think this is where, again, the people are going to surprise politicians with how they vote.
Yep.
They will be very surprised, just like I think they were surprised in 2016. And if Biden gets it, I think that will be an even bigger surprise.
Just sell all your stock. That's all.
Go to another country.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially if you're in California. You're doomed. You're rich. Well, you heard about the new tax that they're wanting to impose, the wealth tax.
All kinds of stuff.
Where even if you leave, it follows you for 10 years and you have to pay off that.
That's not going to work. It's got to be unconstitutional.
It's totally
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
unconstitutional. How
Yeah.
if somebody acquires their wealth
But
before they even get
the
here?
fact that people are even thinking about that is insane. But the problem is you've taxed people out of existence to support your budget. While the economy was good, we're already losing a population of the state of Connecticut every year. Like that's going to be a problem.
Well, how many people have mass migrated out of California?
Well, that's exactly the problem.
Right.
So the budgets can't stay fat and happy for programs for, everything you want forever.
Well,
like you can't spend more than you have. I don't know why that's
i.e.
even. That shouldn't even be conservative. That should be common sense, by the way.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Well, I laugh.
Conservative should be like you save money and you got surplus, right? You're like kind of stingy. You
Right.
keep a bunch in the.
You're gonna hoard some.
Yeah, you're gonna hoard a little bit over here. Like no, just don't buy your grandma a house she can't afford. It's gonna get
Right.
foreclosed on. That's
Right.
all.
But our government does it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. So if our government does it, why can't the people do
And
it?
now they're asking for bailouts from the federal government for their overspending. It's insane.
Well, like our state, nation state, right? That's what they
Nation
call
state,
it.
yeah,
Newsom's calling it a nation state. And yes, we're calling for federal government to come help bail us out because we can't even afford to pay unemployment insurance to people that federally would get $300 that we can't even afford the $100 on. So where was that revenue? Where was that surplus of money that should have been there already that people had paid into unemployment? It's not there.
Wait a second. Are you trying to tell me it went into free health care for illegal immigrants?
Somewhere else. I don't know where
I'm
it
just
went,
saying.
but I'm just
No,
saying
you're just saying.
it's
Is
not
that where
there
it
in
went?
that account.
I mean, come on, that
What's
couldn't
that?
have cost much.
Why can't
Only-
in our state we afford $100 for every unemployed person when the federal government's going to match us at $3? And yet we call ourselves a nation state. If we're a nation state, that means we don't take the dollars from
Can't
the
they print some
federal
money?
government.
Aren't we
like,
short
what
on
the hell is
coins?
that?
Aren't we short on coins?
Oh, that day's,
Wait,
yeah.
Is that a topic?
Oh, that is a topic.
Wait.
That is
the
a topic.
Coin shortage.
Oh my gosh.
I don't
it's
even have any
dissolving.
coins. That's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh,
So
I went
what-
through a drive-through the other day and it
Wait.
said due to the nationwide corn shortage. I was like, shut up.
Not corn.
No, sorry, corn. It's the wine. Oh my god, it's so
No,
good.
it says, who ate my coins? Who ate my change?
Who ate my change?
Who ate my change?
The drive-through. First,
Who ate my change? I'm serious. What's up with that? I don't get it.
I'm telling you, it's so many stores are posting this, and I see what it is because they're drying up the traditional banking and heading into a more digitized currency. And if we dissolve that, then we're going to force everybody online, which is easier to track and trace your transactions. So it's control.
Okay.
It's control.
That's kind of dystopian.
It is a little, maybe.
So check this out. So China, for all that don't know, our lovely neighbors, like on the other side of the earth, if you dig far enough,
Right.
Are digitizing their currency so that they can control how people spend their currency.
That will be us.
Okay, so like right now you can spend $1 anywhere. You're free. It's a
Right.
choice.
Right.
But they're actually, now you have to use the digital version of the currency. And if you sell real estate, they can force you to use that. Its money is tagged to only be used for more real estate in China,
Right.
for example.
Right.
So they can prevent you from moving it out of the country, but they can also prevent you from buying a car. They can control your life.
They very much. Very much. And this is the concern, right?
But this is what blockchain wanted in some ways. The aspirational vision was transparency, but you got to be careful what you wish for.
100%. 100%. Because, once it's on the chain, there's no two sets of books,
So
right?
once it's on the chain, you're on the hook.
You're on the hook and you're linked, right?
Yeah.
It's all linked from transactional to crypto to monetization to detail, documents. Everything will run through that ecosystem. And again, it's easier to map out. It's why Facebook was so great, right? Because I could know if I was a profiler at the FBI, I could say, okay, who's your friends? Who do you hang out with? What's your job? What are your political opinions? What do you like?
Oh, yeah, sure.
What are your monkeys on your back,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Kind of thing. Same ideology is true.
Yeah.
When we force people into more of a digitized world, it's easier to control because we're the masters of the universe, right? And we get to see that. But that's ultimately what we want. The governments want that. They want that unified
that's a
ideology.
globalism.
Totally.
Plays right into globalism.
New world order.
Under the guise of progression.
Under the
So-
guise of technology progression,
Yeah,
right?
tech progression.
Innovative and green and, so savvy and progressive. And I laugh because in our state, we talk about how progressive we are and how scientifically forward and tech savvy we are in Silicon Valley. And yet there's so many things that we're so far reaching from progressive. It borders on frightening. A lot of that's leaving our state. So
Yeah.
scary. But I think crypto is going to eat up, the dollar.
So back to who ate my change? Who ate
Yeah.
my change?
Yeah.
Like, what's up with that? No, I didn't get an answer, so I'm like still hungry.
I think first of all, who really liked change unless you were going to the bubblegum machine or the
My washing machine.
Your
likes change.
washing machine, right? It's like my tip.
That's right. My kids.
Right. Just going to the slush fund.
Daddy, I got a quarter.
Oh, I got that
Right.
gold dollar.
Right.
No, but I think we see
Got a
a
whole
lot
sack of Jowitas over here. That's great.
Well, think about it. Now, when you go, that change machine that converts
Yeah.
change into actual dollars now will kind of go nowhere. And now they're actually changing those Coinstar machines to where they're digitized, so you can get crypto on those change. You can get a gift card on that
Wow.
change. So yeah, it's definitely headed in that direction, and for very intentional reasons, right? Again, if we start to think that too many people are going rogue, it's like smartphones. It's why,
So in China, they have to like write you up if you use cash now. In
correct.
some parts of China.
Well, it's a
yeah.
social. They socially
social
vet you
control.
totally, and there's categories of
Yeah.
what permissions will allow you to have and what we won't,
Sure.
and so it's like a credit score, but not right. It's like a life score, and it's really unfortunate because I've been to China, I've been to Hong Kong many times, and I can only say that the suppression of the people there are so frustrated, but there's nothing that they can really do. It's such a dictatorship, and it's challenging for them to really have a voice and feel free. It's much like what we saw happen in Hong Kong. The resistance that was there. Unfortunately, in Hong Kong, I think they had to know that there was going to be a roux the day when Beijing was going to step back in, and UK was going to go bye-bye. It was only a matter of time. And so I think, unfortunately, too, that our country is so arrogant in believing and complacent in some ways to believe that we could never look like another country. We could never look like anything but what we've looked like for so long. And I say, well, you can only look at the currency, you look at the market, you
Sure.
look at the dollar, crumbling to some degree. We see the evaporation of change. If I take that out of circulation, you can't use it.
Yeah,
And it becomes not a commodity that is tradable because there isn't anything to trade.
Yeah.
And so if we digitize that, then it's certainly easier to control and to convince and sway people, no differently than if I put a RFID in you and said, okay, are you COVID free? Are you not COVID free? Or,
All right, this is getting too serious.
No, okay.
We got to talk about
okay.
like GMO bees or something.
Oh, let's
something
talk
crazy.
GMO bees. Let's talk
GMO
GMO
bees.
bees. Yeah.
So, like, for those
and
who don't know-
mosquitoes. And the mosquitoes.
okay,
Okay, the
cheers.
mosquitoes.
GMO
Okay.
bees.
What is it? 960 something of them are going to be released in Florida.
1,000.
Like 1,000.
Like they couldn't count to 1,000 when
I know. Why not
mosquitoes.
round up?
Yeah, like
What's that number? We
like,
should look at that
why
number. I
is
bet
it
it has a
960?
meaning.
Like,
I bet it has a meaning.
and mosquitoes.
No, but it's like a weird number. It's like a 965 or something.
Okay,
like
so,
why that
yeah,
number?
yeah, it's
like
not-
I don't know. Maybe
We're
that's not
getting
the
corrected by the studio audience. You know what's going down from there. So,
No, but that's
Okay.
crazy. Crazy that they're going to release those
So
into
no,
the.
explain that. So I think we were having dinner and you were talking about like imagine 960 like horny nano needles running around injecting you with shit.
Well, if we don't even look, we don't even want people near us that we don't even know are sick or not COVID, right? And then we're gonna have these genetically modified mosquitoes that have hypodermic needles, when you think about it, to bite you or to sting you or to inject you.
GMO, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. I mean, that's kind of crazy. And think about that. Like, what if that person who was injected died? Or what if they got really sick? Or whether if there was an adverse reaction to that? Like,
So
where's
wait.
your
Okay, are the bees are they gonna die, or like are they fully capable of reproducing?
Well,
Isn't
they're
that
saying
how-
supposedly that these were going to help kind of control the mutation of the continuation of the mosquitoes. So they're wanting to kind of dominate and control and then kind of sterilize. Unfortunately, it may sterilize you. It may sterilize someone else. We don't know that, right? So that's freaking crazy. You know what I mean? Like here we're going to.
It's like unleashing a bunch of like zombie doctors walking around with needles.
How is
me.
I'm gonna get you. Come here, I've got the solution to your problem. I've got your facts. No, but like, I mean, we wouldn't even do that with COVID. My God, it takes 8 to 12 years to get through an FDA study, right? And yet we're just gonna go, well, with mosquitoes, it's a different case.
Let the bees do the job.
No problem. Oh shit, 5 years later, look what happened. Oh, the evolution of this continuation of this virus.
6 fingers.
It mutated. Oh my God.
That's great. That's awesome. That'll be handy.
Right? Or they speak 12 languages in the morning, you know.
Could go both ways.
Right. So who knows? I mean, it's going to be interesting. But I mean, these are things, and it's not like this is some like conspiratorial news segment. It's like, it's totally in the news.
COVID is itself a genetic variation, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, think of how many evolutions and mutations of that strain have been since the beginning of SARS and all the other.
So GMOs, it's like we see what happens with COVID, and yet like they're doing this shit to bees, and we're like, okay.
If we care so much about turtles and bees, why the hell would we modify them to a place where it's inhumane?
All bees matter.
Right. All bees matter. All bees matter. All mosquitoes matter.
I'm telling you.
All mosquitoes are important.
That's touching. I think we're going to end that topic on a warm note. All right,
let's see what else we got. Okay. Oh, Bette Midler.
Oh, the wind beneath my insults.
The Bette Midler.
Dear Bette.
Bette Midler.
She washed ashore after decades.
What is it that they say?
After decades. I didn't hear her name for so long, and she popped out of nowhere.
Right. Well, what did they say? Publicity, whether good or
bad,
right?
It's
good publicity, right? So
like,
she needed
she
some.
doggy paddled right up to the surface so she can get a gasp of breath at the
and then they sent her to the bottom of the tank because she got really schooled and she came out and apologized.
So for those who don't know, like Bette Midler came out on like social media today and totally like Melania was talking and she was like. She's like, that bitch still doesn't speak English. Like she doesn't. She should go back to her country and like some ridiculous bigotry. It was
brutal.
It was brutal.
It was brutal to say she couldn't speak and she doesn't represent. And I thought it was really sad because our country is founded on diversity. Right. And here she was coming out the gate attacking her, which is so racist. Racist.
Totally,
as a white, older woman, here she was attacking a woman of color.
Totally racist.
In a way.
No, it's totally racist.
And I think it's sad.
Yeah, the fact that she can get away with that was insane.
It is. But it shows the double standard, right?
Of course.
Of certain people who have the ability to speak.
How you say?
Throw up. Please, throw up. Whatever is on your mind.
Like, people with an accent, like, you're supposed to, like, that's beautiful. We're a rich country of all types.
Right?
Like, my wife speaks Chinglish.
I love it.
I love it. She does, she didn't know. We went to dinner one day when I first met her and she asked for mushy potatoes.
Yeah.
Because she thought that's what they were.
Right, that's what they were called.
Honey, the mashed potatoes. Oh, shit.
Mushy potatoes. I like that.
Right? Yeah.
They probably would have still delivered that for her, but...
They did, and then she chuckled.
That was sweet.
That's all right, we can make that happen. That's what she said. That's right.
Oh, my God. No, I think it's just sad when... Again, here's white America looking at immigrants and looking disparagingly on them. Okay, fiery, peaceful protests. I'm thinking, one, I don't even know how you defend that. I don't even know how you defend that at all.
So like CNN was doing this live like coverage of there's like a building burning behind them and like looting everywhere, and they're like,
peaceful.
Oh, we're having a little bit of fiery, peaceful protest. Just a little bit of fiery, peaceful protest.
Something blows up.
Exactly. Boom. Like exactly. Like,
I don't know how that's peaceful.
Millions of damage is right behind me, but it's fiery peaceful.
I'm thinking that's not peaceful, and especially it's not peaceful when that's somebody's piece of property that you just blew up and burned, and now they don't have a place to work or live or do their function or go to school or whatever it be. And I think that's just, it's really pathetic that in the name of
a lot of activism that we are saying it's okay on either side, whether you're left or right. If you support it, I think it's sad that we are saying that that's okay. And it's far from peaceful.
It's not even a political.
It's far from political.
It's like it shouldn't be anyway. Like it's
become that.
Right.
It's become political.
But if it weren't Trump in office, then there wouldn't be a reason to just allow chaos to happen.
Well, if Trump were in office,
then they wouldn't allow. Come on, they wouldn't allow absolute chaos to happen because they're trying to blame him for the chaos.
Well, I mean, we can't say, a virus is because of a president. A virus came independent of a president. It would have come on Biden. It would have come on Trump.
And in hindsight, everybody's got the book. They said this is how we would do it better. Okay. In hindsight, everybody's a genius.
Yeah. Well,
they got this. They
figured it out.
Yeah, figured it out. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think, we're telling young people, we're telling all generations that this has now become the standard, and it's okay that this is the standard of peaceful protests. And so far from the truth. I think we're destroying property, we're destroying livelihoods of people, and I think that there is nothing peaceful about that. I don't think that stealing and looting and destroying and defacing property is going to change anything politically. And certainly it gets the attention of the authorities. But it doesn't change what happens necessarily in politics. I mean, police departments are still going to have some bad police officers. Police departments are going to have incredible police officers. There's going to always be that balance. Yeah. And unless, like what you said earlier, we go in there and we say, hey, rich people, come in here and help us fund re-education or doing something that. Do something with that, right? I love the hashtag. Maybe we could make it a hashtag. Yeah. Do something, right? Do something. Because we all sit on the sidelines and bitching and complaining and they did this and they did that. But what are we doing? What are we doing personally to make a difference?
That's the Malcolm X thing.
And that is the Malcolm X thing.
Be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem.
I agree with that. And I think we're so
There's a whole silence is violence. It's the same shit. Don't get on your knee. Do something.
No.
Don't protest shit. Don't stop working and then put other people out of work. You're rich. Fucking do something.
Well, throwing rocks and hitting people doesn't change their opinions of you. In fact, it validates their opinions of you.
Sure does.
So it justifies the anger that are felt on both sides when you see, okay, I don't like you doing this, I don't like you doing that. How do we meet in the middle when there's no meet in the middle? It's like negotiating with a terrorist. There's no negotiating with a terrorist. You can't do that. It doesn't happen. If they want to kill you, that's the motive.
Yeah, but you know what kills me is being a black cop. How do you even do that?
I know a lot of black police officers.
No, and they're amazing, amazing people. How do you do it?
They're upstanding.
How do you do it?
I think it's tough. I think it's really tough for them because they're being challenged. Why could you support this? And it's like, I'm a career police officer.
It's their career. It's not like what they're supporting. Right?
I've got a pension. I've got children. I've got to pay for college. I've got all these responsibilities. It's not like I'm working at 7-Eleven and I can just hopscotch down the road to something else.
Well, they make it sound like being a police officer is like duck hunt for black people. I found one. That's not what's going on.
Well, unfortunately, if you want to call the police, who are you going to call when we've defunded them? You're going to call the social worker to come negotiate a problem with a guy with a gun at your door trying to rob you or rape you? No. Let's work this out amicably. Let's sit in a session. That's not going to go down. That's...
You mean the therapist that they want to send to the home instead?
That's just crazy. And believe me, I think that can work in certain situations. But in others, you have to have a rule of law that can come in and enforce something. And I'm not saying, believe me, there's a lot of bad cops out there.
That's not like a therapist showing up in a bulletproof vest, Right? Let's talk about this.
That's common sense.
I'm just saying, how do you feel?
Well, the police in LA, we've had a lot of notoriety with the police departments here. And, there's been a lot of racial tension. And yet, I will say,
it's not wood.
Sorry. We have seen, okay, well, pretend it's wood. We have seen that we're not Portland, thank God, and we're not Chicago right now in our cities, but it could very quickly escalate to that. And I think that the more that we educate people to just thinking for yourself and not falling into the sheeple people. You know what I mean?
Fall
in line. and
I love it. But
think the
most
way I
people are
tell you
sheeple,
to.
right?
Most people are sheeple.
Okay.
It's easier that way. It's easier to be a
Because
sheeple.
nobody would get shit done if everybody was a leader.
Well, if then I'm likable, right? If I don't pick one side or the other, I can kind of be neutral, and I can be okay and not be kind of tarnished by some people who don't agree with me. Whereas
Okay.
I think that it's
So it's
important.
easy to be sheeple.
It is. It's totally easy to be a sheeple.
You know what
Come on.
Kermit said? It isn't easy being green.
Right? Well, and yet again, I'm like, look at how much of an impact he made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On so many lives, just being what he was, a little velvet puppet, whatever he was.
Great. I think he was polyester, but he didn't know.
Polyester,
He thought he was velvet. That's all that matters, right? I love it. It's great.
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting though, because there's so much unrest and there's so many challenges that are happening in our country, and I think if we can get people to think for themselves. And when you go to that voting box, whether you send in the mail-in ballot or you go to the voting station, is to use your best conscience. And if you don't have the education to vote, then don't vote. Don't vote. If you don't know the contestants is like what I call them, the contenders, then I think that it's probably not a good idea to vote because you're wasting your vote. And I think it's stupid to throw away to vote.
We need to like fractionalize the vote. We need to be like people, like you get 100 chips and you can put them all on one issue, like for a candidate, or you could like, is that candidate is like what you believe in, or you could spread it out over a bunch of issues.
Right. Well, I mean, there's
just
going to be
saying.
people that fall into line in that sheeple people category,
Mhm.
and then there's going to be people like you that are the outliers, and the people that are on the fringe. And the people that are on the fringe tend to have a different pulse. And I think that our government has to have someone who can recognize what the needs of the people are and to find a balance. And it's really tough when we see two parties that can't even talk to one another in a diplomatic way.
Mhm.
And I think the people are going to recognize that and make a decision based off of that.
Oh, sure. Sure they do.
And I'm sure they will, because even the sheeple people
Sheeple
like to
people.
believe
I love it. That
they
would
have a
hashtag
tenant.
real well.
That-
Sheeple
Sheeple people, people who can't think for themselves.
Man.
I don't want to be that. I choose not to be
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I used to be
Mhm.
that, a long time ago when I was in my 20s. I was like,
Right.
the government, or the people, this and that, yay, yay. And then you start to educate yourself. You're like, oh shit. Oh, okay, I get it. I get the game.
But in order not to
understand.
be sheeple people, don't you have to like not get your news from only new mainstream media?
I think you have to be open to all media.
I'm just saying, like
You
that's
have
like
to be open to all
it's
media.
like the sheeple's place. It's like the church for sheeple people.
Well, I think I'm ignorant if I only look at one side of the news. I look at
Right.
CNN, I look at Fox, I look at independent news, I look at LA Times, I look at a lot of things. And I assess that
Yeah,
based
yeah.
on what are the common denominators of that information and what changes throughout the flow of information. And I think most people don't have the time because they're so caught up on social media, they're caught up in their social lives,
Mhm.
even though there's really not a social life that most of these people have, because it's all on your smartphone. And yet, we're asking people to make an educated decision when it comes to voting. And I think it's going to be a real interesting election, just because I think that a lot of the people who have been sheeple people are starting to wake up.
Oh yeah, there's a
And they're
way.
paying attention, because you're
Sure.
affecting their
Yeah.
jobs, you're affecting their
course.
unemployment insurance, you're affecting their ability to pay their taxes.
Well, and people can see the political games now. Once you know the tricks,
Yeah,
tricks are for kids.
that's right. That's right.
You can see them. You can't unsee that shit
No.
once you see it. That's
No,
the
you
problem.
can't. And I choose to believe that there is still a tenacity in the American people that say you can play all. I always say DC's more scripted than Hollywood.
Oh sure.
Right?
Sure it is.
And if you look at the script writers and you look at the people who are calling the shots, it's not the people that we all see. And I think
course.
that it's the power, the money that's behind it, and the narratives that go along with whatever that agenda is. And I think the people are starting to see, hey, you don't have my best interest at heart. You don't care about me. You only are a preacher of politics when it comes time. And yet there's no deliverable. And I think that when people see deliverables, whether they like you or not, if you're a good employer, but you're an asshole to me, but you still pay my bills, you still giving me insurance, people are going to stay in their job. because they don't have another option. If they have another option, they'll go. But right now, the American people have said there's been certain things that have been a benefit to them that they've gone, okay, I can see why I should continue to vote for this man, or they say you've done nothing for me and I won't vote for you at all. But it'll be interesting.
And if we don't do mail-in voting, you'll find out who the real president is.
I'm going to send in mine certified return receipt.
That's awesome.
So I know that it got there, right? And I know it's counted. And I think everyone should do that. Certified return receipt. U.S. Post Office. There you go. Spend some money on the post office, which needs it desperately, so they don't have to have a bailout.
What if you just do it without the right return address and don't put postage on it? Then it'd be like, then you'll know if it got to the post office, because if it comes back returned, you'll at least know it got to the post office.
It's true. So I mean, that's kind of my assurance is that I'm gonna do a certified return receipt on my mail-in ballot.
Okay.
So I know for sure what's up.
We're gonna do this last one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ice Princess. Ooh, the Ice Princess used to be Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Who's the new Ice Princess?
Are you referring to Kamala?
Kamala! Not a warm, emotional bone in her body.
Her own party isn't a fan.
Just telling you, like, first of all, as a guy, you first say, could you be married? Like, what would it be like for a guy to be married to Kamala, right? Like, what would that be like?
Demasculated.
Something like that. Like, you might just be speaking a few octaves higher than you normally do.
Well, first, I think it's quite telling when the party themselves wasn't that supportive of her narrative. And a lot of people, like I said, when they saw her kind of combative with a lot of things, thought, okay, she's great on the attack, but not on the defense. And that's true. She is not a good defenseman. And, she's good at throwing it and great at spitting that game. She's really good at that. But unfortunately, when it comes back at her, like Biden threw at her a lot of things and vice versa.
Right.
It's tough because I think it's going to test her in a new way, the way that she hasn't been tested before. So I think that it's going to be really important to see.
But doesn't it come down to the fact that she's an ice princess?
I think the
like
party
nobody can
knows
relate
that.
to her. Like it's like she's a drone. She'll say whatever it takes.
I think that that's a problem, and I think a lot of the people in the party see that only because they've seen her not really be able to traction to to policy, even to some policies, even in our state, medical cannabis, right? Looking at that, how many people she incarcerated over misdemeanor crimes that she said that she was promoting an advocate. In fact, they asked her the other day, what are your top 3 musicians or groups? And she said Bob Marley, which we know Bob Marley, Aretha Franklin, and she said Cardi B. And I thought, first, if you're going to be supportive to Bob Marley, first of all, you have to understand that a lot of people support Bob Marley, white, black, Jewish, Asian, because it was a very peaceful narrative. It was a narrative of a uniting.
It was great music.
Uniting, amazing music, right?
It's the beginning of cannabis.
That's right. That's
Smoke
right.
it, baby.
I believe in cannabis, as you know. So I think it's going to be a challenge for her. I think going forward, and I think that she has to win over a lot of people from that cold posture. I hardly ever see her smile unless it's almost animated, almost theatrics. And I think it's unfortunate because I don't feel that it's authentic. And I think that is true for a lot of people. They don't feel that
okay,
connects.
whoa, holy buzzwords. All right, so everyone I talk to, we're back to authentic, right? We started this show with that. Like, everyone I talk to talks about that word authentic. We're like in a world where authenticity matters.
Right. If
there's anybody out there that is authentic, good for better or for worse, isn't it the president? He might be childlike, but he's authentic. Like, at least you know what the hell you're getting with him.
He's quite abrasive. He's very abrasive.
Yeah, but he's authentically abrasive. He's not putting it on, right? He's not pretending.
He doesn't pretend. I think maybe
he doesn't know how to pretend.
Sometimes he pretends. Maybe sometimes.
That's because he's got to read a teleprompter. What do you know? He's off the teleprompter. He's off the tit. He's not pretending. He's off the tit. He's not pretending.
I think for Kamala, it's going to take connecting with people, and I think that that's going to be really hard for her only in the short time that they have before the election. And I think a lot of people in the party have already made it clear that she has a very strong agenda. She sees the seat, she wants the seat, She's going to lead with those political narratives that are important to certain people within the constituents, and I think she's thinking it's going to traction, and I'm not so sure.
She's going to play to the sheeple people.
It's why in our own state she only got 23% of the vote. As a presidential candidate, and that says a lot. So that says, hey, we didn't trust you with cannabis when you said that you were for it and you smoked it, and yet you incarcerated people who were of color, which major incarcerations of medical cannabis have been of people of color, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And so if we want to advocate for something, I would think that would be something that we would fight for, keep progressive on, put that on our talking narrative points of our campaign, and yet we haven't done that. And, she was a very strong proponent of incarcerating people. And I thought that was a telling moment to a lot of people who were,
was that the Tulsi takedown? When Tulsi Gabbard took her?
Tulsi took her down, but then also the cannabis community.
Oh,
the cannabis community really saw her as not an ally. They saw her as somebody who was really the resistance to this opportunity for California to really be the leader.
I just want to give Tulsi some light because I think she's authentic.
She's interesting.
And she's an interesting rising star in my view that's relatable and really just says what she thinks.
I think she would have been a good contender.
Regardless of what the mainstream thought. And so the problem with the Democrats being all united is that they actually cancel people who don't show up on the train and say whatever they want them to say.
Right.
And Tulsi was authentically who she was.
Well, she was
a strong woman who promised to say what she believed. She said what she believed. Where are the other women supporting Tulsi?
Well, and where are the women who support veterans? Where are the women who support people who are willing to take a hard line in a job that I would never want to go to war, right? I would never want to be on the front lines of what she did. Yeah. And yet she did that. Right. She had that tenacity. She had that grit.
So I want to shout out, to Tulsi because
give it to Tulsi.
She's the bomb.
Tulsi has balls.
She's got
balls. She wasn't afraid to say what she thought, and I thought that was a provocateur within the party.
Sure.
Really helped kind of show the splintering for the first time that I really saw in the party happen, where it wasn't this unified message. It was more, I'm going rogue. You see that with the squad. You saw that with Tulsi. Sure. You see that with kind of Bernie, AOC. So you see that there's a lot of opinion. And yet, because, if you were independent, of course, you'd never get on the ticket. It's left or right, right? So why bother? And it was interesting that she made it as far as she did based on what she was saying and her talking points. I mean, she ate several of those candidates alive.
She did. She ate them alive. So more than ever before we close
the box. With no apology.
More than ever before I close the box, I'm going to say in this election, I could count more women that I have come to respect and see strong women figures than ever before.
Well, I think we have to have strong women.
Sanders, Huckabee, Sarah Sanders, what she took in terms of incoming fire. Holy, Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
and McEnany in terms of what she's been able to do.
I think she's probably been the toughest out of all of them. And she's taken on bullets that
no doubt. She
probably
comes
weren't
ready.
even deserved. But
she comes ready.
She is ready. She knows her
ready,
shit, and I respect her for knowing her facts and being prepared to defend them.
So and Tulsi's on the list because I really want to see. She's somebody that is authentic.
She is authentic.
And
I will give her that.
Woman, so.
And she doesn't apologize for who she is. Yeah. And I think that when any woman, left or right, when you have that posture, I will respect you for that. Because if that's what you believe, then I respect that. Yeah, but when you are swayed by ideologies that you have no information on, you're weak.
Oh, totally.
In my opinion.
People can see that.
Yeah, totally.
Well, look, this wasn't supposed to be so serious, but we
But you know what? We covered some ground.
We covered some ground. We did. So we're gonna shut the box. We're gonna toast.
I'm already further down than you. What's wrong with that?
Oh, no. It's good. I'm not sure that's true. I think I poured myself an extra.
I think you poured me one too. Didn't you pour us one more?
We're almost double-fisted over here. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Such a pleasure.
Everybody, Pandora's box. We opened the box. We did this.
We did.
All right. Have a great evening. Thank you.
All right.